I'm Beth Guckenberger, and this is the Reckless Faith Podcast. As usual, I'm here today with Rob Hall, lifelong friend and colleague at Back to Back Ministries. Thanks for being with us.
I am excited to be here. I'm excited to do this podcast, a special kind of series of the Reckless Faith podcast. This one around your new book, Reckless Faith, a 40-day journey to saying yes. And we thought it would be a good idea as people kind of prepare for the journey, this devotional journey, that we kind of did a little intro and gave them some context about where Reckless Faith came from and what they can expect out of the devotional. So before we jump into the logistics, tell me a little bit about where this idea of Reckless Faith came from at all.
I think the first time I put those two words together was more than 20 years ago. Todd and I were getting ready to move to Mexico, and I had this memory flash in my mind of an experience I'd had as a high school student and a way in which my dad had empowered me to believe that I had something to offer. And I got this conviction through those experiences in high school that there was a world out there that I didn't have to live in, that God might be asking me to exchange with, to enter into, to understand, to give over to. And I can remember just feeling like the choices he was making to believe in me didn't make sense to the world. And I was telling my mom, his faith was kind of reckless. It doesn't even make sense. And that phrase, it caught in my heart. And we moved to Mexico, and I began to realize that actually most of faith is like that. Most of faith doesn't have to make sense to the world, and does feel like you step without knowing the answers to all your questions. And then about 10 years after we lived there, I recorded some of the stories that we were in the middle of and published them originally in a book called Reckless Faith.
So for many folks who are listening, they're kind of new to Beth Guckenberger and maybe to Back, where you are the co-executive director. You've written 8 or 9 books at this point, the most recent of those being Start With Amen from Thomas Nelson. This is a different kind of book than those. This is a devotional. Tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Yeah, I wanted to create an experience. I wanted people to exchange with the content, not just between them and themselves and them and Jesus, but also with them and a friend. And when I first started out in my missionary life, and certainly in my adult faith life, I always felt kind of in over my head. I don't know. I'm just going to keep walking forward because I don't have any other choices, but I don't have any answers to any of the questions that anybody asks me about anything that I'm doing. And I blamed all that on inexperience or immaturity. But here I am 20 some years later, and I actually still feel the same way. I feel like that's what faith life is like. It's stepping out with a neighbor or a spouse or a child, or agreeing to forgive someone, or walk forward, or to have a dream, or to take a risk, or to spend your time and money and resources on something outside of yourself. And I thought, I want to write a devotional that literally helps people in that journey so that they can exercise those muscles, those reckless faith muscles.
The difference for folks who are getting into this and the reason for this podcast is really for bonus material, behind the scenes kind of things and all that. So tell us a little bit, as they get prepared for this journey, some of the logistics that they will discover as they begin to unfold and read the book.
Yeah, over the last 20 plus years at Back to Back, we've had a model that we use in the evenings to debrief people who've had various experiences in their day. And we walk them through these 4 steps of having experiences and reflecting on those experiences, being willing to be transformed or changed through that reflection, and then walking out of that transformation into new challenge. So every day has those 4 components to it of the 40 days. There are experiences that I share, and then questions I ask for reflection, like, what did you learn today about yourself, or about the people that were in your path, or about the Lord? And then there's this opportunity for some change to happen. And I think change is a word we mess up so much in the world because we're so used to all the reality television shows with before and after pictures. Like, in order to change, I have to have started from somewhere that was no good. And I don't think that's true. I think all of life is one giant transformation into my natural state, into my supernatural self. And so there's just some encouragement on how to do that transformation in there. And then that last part, and what we'll talk about in the podcast, are just the action steps. Like, what does it look like to embrace and change and lean forward and into something that might stretch me?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be on this. We're going to churn out one of these for every single day So we'll be churning out 40 podcasts, one for every single day that's in the devotional. So if you already have Reckless Faith, a 40-day journey to saying yes, we hope the podcasts keep you focused on having meaningful conversations today, the day that you're doing it with God and with others. That's an interesting thing as I think about that it's not just for yourself, that hopefully this will prompt you to have some great conversations with the people around you. But if you're here and somehow have stumbled upon the podcast and haven't gotten a copy, you can find it at Amazon, or you can get the book and discover a lot of other resources about Reckless Faith at backtoback.org/40 days. That's BACK, the number 2, BACK.org/40 days.
Oh, thanks for being with us on this journey to a more reckless faith. Until next time.